Hello, my name is Deja Williams, and today I'm going to be going over the different levels of stress. Stress can be in children and in adults, and it's the levels of this stress that's important. It can be positive, tolerable, or toxic stress, and today I'm going to be going over the different levels of toxic stress and its effects in parents and in children. As a substitute teacher, I do go to different sites, so I do see a different variety of children, and in these children you can see different triggers and different stressors that they might have, and it's usually easy to see because they have usually behavioral issues, developmental delays, and they also isolate themselves. My main points I'm going to be going over is the definition of a toxic relationship, types of toxic relationships, unhealthy parental habits, toxic family dynamics, and the effects toxic relationships can have on parents and children. First, I'm going to be going over the different types of toxic stress. Different types of toxic stress can include abusive, resentful, carefree, stagnant, and enabler. This can be revolved either around a romantic relationship or your family dynamics and community. Different types of family abuse can include lack of empathy, lack of boundaries, constant aggression. Usually, toxic stress is is when you're letting. Usually toxic stress is when you have a very large amount of negative stress that is being put on you and it's repeated. This can happen to children and adults when it's involving the family. Like I said, it can be lack of empathy, lack of boundaries, constant aggression. The different type of households, pathological households, include psychiatric disorders, things such as schizophrenia in the household. Chaotic households is inadequate parenting, so this is neglect. Usually your basic neglect, not feeding, or not paying attention to the child, completely isolating yourself from the child. Dominant and submissive households usually have a power imbalance. This can be in between either the parents or the children. When it's role reversal, usually a parent is experiencing substance abuse, verbal abuse, domestic abuse, where a child has to take on a leadership role. Parental toxic habits include neglect, substance abuse, physical, verbal abuse, isolation. Usually parents that are toxic put their own needs first. The effects that it has in adults and adolescents is mental disorder, drug and alcohol abuse, and also suicide attempts. In children, like I said before, as a substitute teacher, seeing it can be behavioral and developmental disorders. Usually parents need to give their children constant attention. They need to be able to see that you're okay, and usually when they don't, this can put a damper and effect on a child's life. I'm sorry. Moving forward, we're going to talk about the effects of toxic stress in children, and in parents. Some parental stressors can be being a single parent, not having enough childcare, or experiencing an abusive partner. And the children's response to this stressor is trauma, poor school performance, and behavioral issues. There are physical effects on the body that can happen to children when dealing with toxic stress. Usually at a young age, it can disrupt the brain development. So usually children that's having problems with language, attention maintenance, usually are having some type of toxic stress either in their community or their home. Higher levels of disease. This can be in children and in adults. Disease such as diabetes, mental disorders, your weakened immune system, that can happen in children. Children can be diagnosed with diabetes and those serious diseases as well, and adults. There is an ACE study that says that gives various different types of causes of parental toxic behaviors, and usually it's substance abuse, neglect. This can be a parent that was neglected before. It can be generational, and poverty. So many broken children living in grown bodies and mimicking adult lives. Okay. And last, I'm going to be talking about reducing or eliminating toxic stress in children. As adults, we have to recognize stress in ourselves and in our children. As an adult, you have to recognize your stressors in your children and your triggers and how it can be affecting your children. Proper and effective communication between not only parents and adults, but between the parents and the child can also help provide resiliency and prevention in toxic stress. Supporting your children. As a teacher, I have to show constant support that sometimes a parent may not be showing either at the moment or at the time. And parents also need that adult support. First 5 LA gives a lot of different resources. This support can also be in the home and in the community. Womensadvocate.org gives resources if you need to leave a toxic relationship, and gives signs of toxic relationships if you are not able to vividly see those signs. You are your last, and in conclusion, you are your children's mirror, so be cautious of your words and actions. For example, I see my little one mimic me a lot and every day. And it's not just mimicking my words or mimicking my funny things that I may do. It's mimicking my literal actions. I see him being upset during road rage in the car. I see him screaming and different ways that he tries to let out his aggression. I can see that it is things that I do and things that I put out, and that he is mimicking my own behavior. So as adults and as parents, as childcare providers, teachers, we have to remember that what we put out is what these children take in. And thank you.